Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Success Mentorship Call number 410. And our topic for today is Behold, I make all things new. I'd like to welcome everyone on Instagram, on YouTube, and of course, our super powerful mastermind group, our incredible team of super achievers who gather at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings on Zoom to discuss, to learn, to teach, to speak. So thanks so much for joining us today. We have, let me see here. Great. All right. All right. So now that this first Saturday of the new year. Wow. Can you believe it? This first Saturday of the new year that we are gathered together to start a new year, incredibly motivated, incredibly excited about the possibilities for this new year. And so it is in this spirit that I chose the message today. Behold, I make all things new. Because each of us has the ability, the capacity to create a new world for ourselves exactly the way we want it to look. And so, knowing that, I invite you all, of course, to visit our website, herbertharris.com, and to get some of our books, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, you see in the background, and our new book, the book Life Lessons for Your Success, which is a topical book dealing with stuff that keeps you from being, doing, and having all that you desire. So before we get started, let us do our meditation to get us centered and in the right mindset to learn, to share, and to grow. Let's sit straight up in our seats. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out slowly. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out slowly. In this space of peace and relaxation, I am at peace with myself. Let us affirm that together. I am at peace with myself. Just let that peace sink in. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And in this state of peace and relaxation, my mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let us affirm that. My mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And so it is. This morning, the quote for today is, of course, from, and this is not religion, this is a spiritual statement, is from the book of Revelations, the 21st chapter and the 5th verse, and it says, Behold, I make all things new. And this is super appropriate right now because at the start of the new year, I think all of us are looking to create something new, looking to make this year our year for outrageous success, to make those changes in our lives that put us in harmony with our purpose, in harmony with the reason for our being. And knowing this, we think of the time in which we say to ourselves, man, last year I could have worked harder, I could have done more. Sometimes we even say, I feel a little stuck. Now the new year's here and I don't know that I've made the transition the way that I wanted to. And it can put you in a moment of doubt. But there's some principles that I want to share that I think will help us move from where we are to where we want to go. There's another scripture that says, and this is the book of Matthew 9, chapter 17th verse, and it says, don't pour new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the new wine and the old wineskins will expand and break the wineskins, and so you lose the wine and the wineskins. And so as we look at where we are right now, we can't take the thoughts, the emotions, the actions, the habits, and some of the relationships that we were involved in last year into this new year. And knowing that, it's important that we're in a position to really say, okay, if I can't take them into the new year, then what can I take into the new year that can help me get my life off the ground? What changes do I have to make? What mindset do I have to change? So one of the things that that really impressed me about this consciousness is that, behold, that I make all things new. You say, well, who is the I in that statement? And the I is you. This is another formulation of the I am statement. Whatever you put after I am, you become. So if you say, I am happy, then you create a vibration of happiness. On the other hand, if you say, I am sad, you create that vibration. So I am is the making power, your ability to make choices that create the world the way you want it to be. And so when we say, behold, I have the power, I make all things new, it's not that what we did before was bad, but it says now that when we have the ability to renew, to think a new thought, to create new feelings, to change our habits, and to change our relationships so that we're in a position to create the vibrations that will attract into our life the things that we want. Wow, that's a great power, folks. So what is this process? How do we go about this idea? Well, number one is to understand that renewal is an inside job, that we change our lives by changing ourselves. Many people wait for life to improve. They say, when this situation changes, I'll feel better. When I get this new job, I'll be able to grow and succeed. When I get this new business, when I get into this new relationship. All of those things really don't mean anything, because the reality is nothing outside really determines your potential inside. And so we realize that when we change our thoughts, when we change our emotions, when we change our habits, when we change our relationship, life responds to what we do. So renewal begins with when we interrupt some of those negative thought patterns. Tony Robbins talks a lot about the pattern interrupt, where you are able to change your state by stopping and interrupting whatever you've been doing and say, just stop it. Let me do something different. This is not me. As the prodigal son in the pig pen of life, he looked up and he said, this is not me. And so we have this ability now to look at where we are. And if it's not where we want to be, if we don't feel the success, the fulfillment, the joy that we want, we can say, this is not me. And we can change our life by changing that inner conversation, what we say to ourselves about ourselves. So we change our dynamics from saying, I am unhappy to I'm happy. The scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. Whatever you say about yourself. So as we go forward this year, let's start saying, I am happy. I am strong. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am a good person. I do good things. I bring joy and light to the world. So living life from the inside out gives you a great power now because you are the captain of your ship and you can now choose exactly how you want to move. And what you change on the inside is reflected in the outside. Second point, letting go is not loss. Letting go is a skill. One of the most important lessons I think that we learn in personal development is learning how to let go, what to let go of, who to let go of, what things we need to get out of our lives. If you can imagine life, we're an airplane on the runway of life. And so last year we were on the plane that is our life, and we didn't get off the ground. We spent a lot of time on the runway, running around the runways of life, but we never launched. We never made that big step to ascend from, you might say, mediocrity to greatness. We may have had excuses, we may have been afraid, but we never got off the ground. And so now we come into a new year. We can't bring that same plane into the new year. We can't bring the same baggage that's kept us down last year into the new year. And so letting go is really not forgetting about the past or denying the past. Letting go is releasing the power that the past has over you. We can't change our past, but we can refuse to let it dictate our present. We can refuse to let it create our future. And so maybe there's an identity that no longer fits. That now you're in a position, you've made this decision to change your life. And so there's an identity that no longer fits. I'm no longer the one who goes along to get along. I'm the one who says, this is how I want it to be. A mistake that you made, a failure, a disappointment in the past is not a negative thing. It's like a lesson. Every failure is a dress rehearsal for success. So in life, you either win or learn. You never fail. And so to recast that disappointment as a life lesson. There's some beliefs we have in the past, or we had in the past, that if we continue them, they will restrict us. I had a dear friend who really had a hang up about not going to college. And his whole life was defined by saying, I didn't go to college, but I did all right. If you talk to him for more than 10 minutes, you know that he never went to college and that he is successful. Well, he needs to let that go because that was a mindset, that was a belief that kept him locked in really achieving his greatness because he always kept going back to that one negative thought. And so what beliefs do you have right now that are restricting you, that held you back last year, and if you carry them over into this new year, will hold you back? Renewal requires the courage to say, this chapter is complete. Everything has a season. There's a season for, the Bible said, there's a season for all things. And as we move into the new year, look at some of the things that are complete now and say, hey, this is complete, it's done, and I'm not bringing it into the new year. I'm throwing this baggage off the plane. It's interesting. In that plane analogy, people will create a new plane and put the same baggage on the new plane and then expect to get off the ground. Never happened. Third point, that identity, who we say we are, our consciousness determines the direction we have in our lives. Consciousness determines direction. And so the more that you know, many of us, anybody up at 8 o'clock in the morning, I guarantee you're serious about your life and what you want to be doing have. And so our consciousness is what gives us the opportunity to fly. We can either fly or flop based on our consciousness. The interesting thing about our goals is our ability to achieve our goals always coincides with the level of our consciousness. Even when you may get results, I like to think about, a study that was done where people who hit the lottery, who got millions of dollars, and in 5 or 6 years, they're broke again. So what happened? Because their consciousness did not match up with the results in their lives. And so your experience of life always either evolves or devolves into your level of consciousness. So if you see yourself as someone who's always struggling, you'll always struggle. If you see yourself, though, as a capable, learning-oriented person, a person who, like the Timex watch, that no matter what happens, you can take a licking and keep on ticking, that you can take a hit and always rise again, that even when you fall forward. Even when you drop back looking up. And so this consciousness of who I am I the victim or the victor? So let's see yourself as the person you are becoming rather than the person who you were. And so as we go into this new year, to say, I am successful. I am healthy. I am happy. I am well adjusted. I am an outgoing person. I care about people and I love people who care about me. I radiate all the things that are good. And so this idea now that your consciousness determines the direction of your life wraps around with everything as an inside job. So you can create the world based on your level of consciousness. That principle, seeking you shall find, knocking it shall be open, asking it shall be answered. Whatever you're seeking, knocking, and asking will come to you because you're doing it. Because your level of consciousness says, I don't belong in the pig pen of life. I belong at the towers of success and prosperity. And the prodigal son analogy says that the moment you make that mental shift, the universe confirms it. As it says, the father ran to meet him. The fourth point, as we go into this new year, is we have to have a new vision. The spiritual principle says, where there is no vision, the people perish. If you have no vision, you fail. Why do you fail? Because you are not aligned with the purpose of your creation. You have to have a vision, and that vision comes from inside, from your soul, from your spirit. That vision coincides with the purpose, why you were created. You weren't just created because a man and a woman chose to do certain things. You were created because the God mind, the universal consciousness, demanded that you appear. We can't live a life we can't visualize. And so vision is so critical because write the vision, make it plain, that he may run that readeth it. Though it may tarry, wait for it, it will surely come to pass. So we literally live our lives based on the visions we have, which takes us back to our imagination. One of the greatest tools we have, one of the greatest power tools that we have to transform the world, to transform ourselves, is our imagination. How do you see yourself? What do you say about yourself this next year? So this year, see yourself as the victor, not the victim. See yourself as a person in perfect health, that's getting divine results, that's living in abundance, that's surrounded by people that love you. And when you write that vision, you know it will come to pass. I often look at businesses, so many businesses right now seem to be stuck in a certain level, a certain level of results. You say, well, why are they stuck? Well, they're stuck because they've run out of vision. Think about this now, how important vision is. 1962, Walton set up the first Walmart, a country store. 1962, in North Carolina, there was a chain of stores called Piggly Wiggly. So now progress to today. Walmart is in every country on the planet. And Piggly Wiggly is still in North Carolina and nowhere else. So what's the difference? They sell meat, they sell foods. Is there any difference? The difference is the vision of the person who created it. And so as we go into this new year, let's let our imagination just run wild. Let our imagination create in our minds a vision of what we want to be without limitations. And if we can see that vision and hold it strongly in our consciousness, spiritual law says it must manifest. And finally, the fifth key is what makes it all happen. You got to act on it. Take action. If you don't act on it, nothing happens. If you don't act on it, it's just an activity. We can study, we can attend every webinar, every seminar on the planet, but if we don't act on it, it doesn't happen. So let's look at some of the things in this action process, since action seems to be proof of concept, we'll call it. Well, some of the elements of action first is faith. Many of us have to be able to act and take a step forward, even though we don't see the final outcome. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, whatever that vision is that you hold in your consciousness, and the evidence of things not seen, although there's absolutely no manifestation yet of that vision in your life, you still act. And so faith gives you the ability to move where there's no proof that it works, where you're operating from belief and from desire. Anything you believe and anything you desire deeply over this next year, you can manifest. Spiritual law, spiritual principle. Second key point about taking action is that you're not starting over. Sometimes people look at the idea of I make all things new, and like, am I starting over again? No. You're not starting over. You're starting forward. You're not starting over. You're starting forward. In other words, the moment you take your vision, when you're in a car, you have a rear view mirror and you have a windshield. The moment you take your consciousness off the rear view mirror, seeing where you've been, and put it into the panoramic windshield, seeing where you want to go, it's already done. So going forward, just know that it's all about the future. It's all about next, and you create next right now. The third aspect of taking action is daily renewal, daily method of operation. Then when we talk about making things new, making all things new, when we start taking action, even small steps, it doesn't matter. Little bitty steps. There's always something you can do right now that will move you a step closer towards your goal. And this power of daily activity is something, it cannot be underestimated, because true transformation is not, you might say, this massive thing that happens right away. True transformation comes about in a daily operation. True transformation is based on what you practice, on your habits. Daily renewal is really the key to bringing about the life you want to experience. It may be choosing a new response to an old situation. Many of us have triggers that when we experience that situation that stops us in our track. So maybe this year, saying, no, I have a new response to that. There's some people I need to say that's not for me. There's some situations I need to declare this is not me. This is not what I'm about. This idea of daily renewal gives you the opportunity to reform and reframe each day as a source of feedback. So that when you look at the day, and some days and I'll tell you, and I know some days just everything does not go right, does not go according to your plan. But look at that as feedback. It's the results of an analysis now that you can make to say, let me make some changes here. I don't like the way this day went. I need to lay out my clothes the night before. I need to be more specific about my plans. I need to schedule my activities better. I need to protect my time and not let other people interrupt me and pull me off course. So these 5 steps can help you live, behold, I make all things new. That renewal step, that life is an inside job, that whatever you create in the internal consciousness, in your spirit, is reflected in the outside world. So have a new interpretation of who you are based on the person you want to become rather than who you were. Have a new response to things that used to pull you off course. Now you can push them aside. Have a new commitment. Like, if it's to be, it's up to me and never fail. I'm going to keep plugging. I'm going to keep pushing. Have a new direction. Like, hey, this is where I'm going. I know this is where I've been. I know I've spent a large percentage of my life being this, but this is the new me. So renewal is an inside job. Letting go is a skill. Get rid of the stuff that does not help you, does not lift you up, from thoughts, from emotions, from habits, from relationships. There's some relationships you got to get rid of. If you permit the wrong people to stay on the boat that is your life, they will have your boat going in circles. If you permit the wrong people on the plane that is your life going down the runway of life, they will sabotage your journey. That new identity based on who you want to be. When Muhammad Ali said, I am the greatest, at first people laughed at him, but he never stopped saying it. And he said it long enough and with such intensity that the world believed it and acted accordingly. To work on creating that new vision. This is the first Saturday of the year. And so use this Saturday to create a new vision. Look at the things you want to be, do, and have, and start writing them down and start measuring up your assets, your strengths, your capabilities, all the things that you bring to the table that you may be overlooking because of circumstances and situations. And then finally take action based on faith, knowing that the results will surely come. Take actions based on always going forward. You may take a hit, fall forward. You may fall into a rut, get up. To always be moving in a positive direction. And to always live life day to day, moment to moment. The greatest gift that God has given us is the gift of time. And so to live each day, each moment with that question that comes about, what is the best use of my time right now? When I consider my goal, my vision, and my purpose, and folks, it's done. It's done. You cannot fail. If you, from moment to moment, always act on the best use of your time right now when you consider your goals, your vision, and your purpose, you cannot fail. That means you must make the choices to do the things that must be done that maximize your time, maximize your effectiveness, maximize your growth, and maximize your results. So behold, I make all things new. It's your great power to create life exactly the way you want it to be, knowing that you can be what you want to be, knowing that you can do what you want to do, knowing that you can have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. Just let that sink in for a moment. You know, this talk was so profound as we were preparing today because I know each of us, those of us, especially on those up this morning on Instagram and on YouTube, and specifically our mastermind group, that all of us have shown such a level of commitment and desire over this last year that we're ready for that breakthrough. We're ready for that flight. We're ready finally to take off. And when that plane gets off the ground, you know, most of the fuel is used in getting the plane off the ground. Once you can get rid of the baggage and change your crew and do whatever is necessary to get that plane in the air, it's clear sailing. You can roll on to your dreams, to your goal, and to all that you desire. So once again, folks, thanks for being with us on Instagram. When we post this, please make comments and share your journey, how you've been using these principles to transform your life. Those of you on YouTube, also be sure to subscribe to our channel and share the information there. Make some comments. You know, when you share information online, people read your comments. You notice? And many times people can take heart, can be inspired by what you've been able to overcome and to achieve and to result. Be sure to visit our website, herbertharris.com. And if you need guidance, you know, this year I'm taking certain coaching clients, a few, but I've had a real blessing. I just got an incredible client who's made such a magnificent difference in two ways, made me feel like, wow, if this client wants me to help them, then I must really have sent some strong vibrations to them. And so go to our website, herbertharris.com, and you'll see book a call and have a complimentary success consultation. So once again, let us close out now. You can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is.